Once upon a time, in the heart of Lagos, there lived a man named Chike. Now Chike was like any other hardworking man in the city, waking up early, chasing dreams and trying to build a peaceful home with his beloved wife, Amara. To anyone who saw them, they looked like the perfect couple. They laughed together, prayed together, and shared almost everything. It all began one warm evening. Amara walked into the sitting room with a bright smile on her face and said, "Chike, there's someone I want you to meet." Standing behind her was a tall, confident man with an easy smile. She introduced him as her cousin. His name was Benny. Chike, being the kind-hearted man he was, stretched out his hand warmly. "You're welcome, my brother," he said, smiling. Little did he know, that simple handshake would change his life forever. At first, everything seemed normal. Benny was charming, full of jokes, and easy to talk to. Chike felt comfortable around him and even started enjoying his company. They shared meals, talked about football, and laughed late into the night. When Benny finally returned to the country he lived in, Chike kept in touch with him, as though they were old friends. He thought he was just building a stronger family bond. But sometimes, the things we welcome into our homes with open arms are the very things that tear the roof over our heads. You see, Benny wasn't just an ordinary cousin. There was something about him that didn't add up. Chike noticed small things, tiny details. Whenever Amara's phone buzzed and it was Benny, her smile seemed a little too wide. Her laughter, a little too free. When Benny called late at night, Amara would excuse herself to the balcony, whispering words that Chike couldn't hear. At first, he brushed it aside. "They're family," he told himself. "It's nothing." But deep down, a quiet unease began to grow. And here is where the story takes a turn. Because what Chike didn't know was that the man he welcomed into his home, the man he called brother, might not have been who Amara claimed he was. Days turned into weeks, and Chike's silence became his greatest weapon. He pretended not to know. He smiled when Amara laughed on the phone. He even greeted Benny warmly whenever they spoke. But inside, he was a man sharpening his mind like a hunter, waiting for the right moment to strike. One Saturday evening, while Amara was out visiting her friend, Chike sat alone in the living room with her phone in his hands. His heart pounded as though it wanted to escape his chest. He knew this was the moment. He opened her gallery, her hidden files, and finally her messages. And there it was clear, undeniable proof. The photos, the voice notes, the messages are filled with promises, pet names, and secret plans. But what struck Chike most wasn't just the love between them, it was the familiarity. The way Benny spoke about their past, the way he teased Amara about things only someone from long ago would know. It was then that the truth crashed down on Chike like a wave. Benny wasn't her cousin. He wasn't even a distant family friend. He was Amara's former lover. The man she once gave her heart to before she ever married Chike. The man she had sworn she would never see again. The man she had quietly let back into her life, under the disguise of family. Chike felt a bitter taste in his mouth, betrayal, sharp and heavy. But even in that pain, he didn't rush. He wanted the whole truth, not just fragments. So he dug deeper. And what he found was darker than he imagined. Benny wasn't just some old flame. He was also married abroad. Yet, here he was, chasing Amara, stirring feelings, planting poison in Chike's marriage. And Amara, she was letting him. Chike sat back, staring at the screen, his hands shaking. He whispered to himself, "So this is the cousin." Chike still loved Amara. He still remembered the laughter they shared, the nights they held hands in prayer, the dreams they built together. Love doesn't die easily. And that was his greatest battle, his heart versus his reality. The night Amara returned, Chike looked at her differently. She smiled at him as though nothing was wrong, but in his eyes, she was no longer the woman he thought he married. She was a stranger wearing his wife's face. "Welcome, my love," she said, dropping her bag on the couch. But Chike didn't answer. He just watched her long, steady, piercing. She stopped midway, sensing something was off. "Chike, what is it? Why are you looking at me like that?" He took a deep breath, his voice low but firm. "Amara, who is Benny?" She blinked, pretending not to understand. "I told you before. He's my cousin. Why are you asking again?" Chike's lips curved into a bitter smile. He reached for his phone and pressed play. From the speaker, Benny's voice filled the room. "My queen, I can't wait to hold you again. You know you'll always be mine, no matter what." The color drained from Amara's face. Her hands trembled, her knees nearly gave way. The room grew colder. Chike stood up, eyes locked on hers. "Cousin, eh? Is this how cousins talk to each other, with secret promises and midnight whispers?" Amara stammered, "Chike, please, I can explain." But he raised a hand, silencing her. "Explain what? That the man you called family is your old lover? That you invited him into our marriage as if I was blind?" Tell me, Amara, what part of this was supposed to be love? Which part was respect? Tears welled up in her eyes. She dropped to her knees. I didn't plan it this way. I thought I had buried that part of my life. But when Benny came back, old feelings. Old feelings. Chike cut in, his voice breaking. Do you know how many nights I stayed awake building a future for us? Do you know the sacrifices I made just to see you smile? And all the while, you were giving your heart to another man. Silence. Only her sobs filled the air. Then she said something that shook him deeper than all the lies combined. She whispered, Chike, I still love you. Benny may be my past, but you are my home. He staggered back, confused, torn. How could she betray him so deeply and still claim love? How could she hold his heart in one hand and stab it with the other? That night, Chike sat in the darkness, his mind a battlefield. His love for Amara wrestled with the betrayal she had unleashed. Trust had been broken, and even if he forgave her, could it ever be the same again? My friends, the question remained. Should Chike fight for his marriage, knowing the cracks might never heal, or should he walk away, choosing peace over pain? And here's where I leave it to you. If you were in Chike's shoes, what would you do? Would you forgive Amara and try to rebuild, or would you close the door forever? Like this story, if it touches you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next powerful story. And if you want to know how people survive betrayal and rebuild stronger, go and watch this video. Facebook post went viral, then people started dying. So, tell me in the comments, what should Chike do? Walk away or fight to rebuild? Thanks for watching.